Hello, and welcome to the Nature Journal Connection. I'm your host, John Muir Laws, and today we're going to be making mistakes. And we're going to be working at changing the way we think about mistakes themselves. You see, for a lot of people, mistakes are something bad, something that we should avoid doing, something that is a waste of our time. But we want to change the way we think about that. Mistakes are actually an essential part of the way that we think. As we explore ideas, we're going to be getting a lot of ideas in our heads that aren't right. And that's okay. That's just part of the process of creative generation of ideas. And each one of those can be thought of as a mistake, or it can be thought of as just another step in our thinking process. If we take one of these ideas and we write it down into our journal, and then later on we realize, you know what? I disagree with myself. I was wrong about that. Right? But now here it is written in my journal. That's not a problem. That's just another step in our thinking process. And I want to get all of my ideas out of my head and onto the pages of my journal. And I don't want to be focused on, I can't put anything down on the paper that's wrong. That's going to be somehow bad. No, I want to give myself permission to think widely, to think wildly, and to play with all of those ideas. I am going to be, as part of my process, sorting through these ideas and deciding, not that one, not that one, but having ideas and exploring those and even excitingly entertaining those ideas as like, this may be a real possibility, and then finding out later that I was wrong about that. That's a really, really good thing. So what I want to do in my process of exploration with my journals is to be open to making those mistakes. And also, as I'm putting things into my journal, I don't want to put them in there in such a way that if I later on realize it was a mistake, that's going to freak me out, and I'm not going to want to change my mind. Changing my mind in the presence of evidence is an essential skill for being a scientist. When I settle in to explore a phenomenon, I'm often strongly influenced by the first observations that I make. If I first see an adult gull chase a younger gull off the big pile of whatever it is over there, the idea comes into my head that, the adult gulls are the most dominant ones here. They're the ones that are the boss of the meat pile. But as I look longer and start to see juvenile, younger gulls chasing the adults off the meat pile, I realize, this is a little bit more complex. There's something else going on here that I didn't see at the start. And what I want to do is to let my understanding of what is happening here change as I get new evidence. As a scientist, I need to train myself to be able to change my mind in the presence of new or contradictory evidence. If I had one explanation for a phenomenon that I'm observing, and I then get a new set of information, a new set of data, a new set of observations that doesn't match with that explanation, I need to have the mental flexibility to change my mind. And to say like, oh, I was thinking this, and then I saw this, and now I think that. That process, I was thinking this, and noticing that you were thinking something that doesn't match the evidence around you. Looking at this new evidence and then changing your mind. That is a skill, and you can get better at it by practicing it. So as a scientist, I'm regularly looking for opportunities to change my mind in the presence of evidence. And this happens all the time when I'm nature journaling. My first impression of something is often wrong, but I'll put that first impression down in my journal, and then I have to be willing to change that as I start to notice other things that are going on. Let's take a look at a few places where this has happened in some recent journal entries.
When I was exploring these strange ridges out on the abandoned salt flats near San Francisco Bay, I assumed that this white crusting mineral around me was salt. When I tasted one of the little bits, it wasn't salty at all. It wasn't salt. It was a different mineral that had precipitated out of the water. I mean, that's really cool. So instead of that being a problem, oh no, I thought it was salt, and it's not salt. It's a discovery. And so I now can explore, like, what could this new mineral be? It's not a problem. It's a discovery. And I changed my mind based on the evidence that I see. Now, same thing here. When I was exploring these two cool clams that I found in a reservoir where the water was going down, I made my drawings of these two kinds of clams. Well, it turns out that I've misidentified this, and this isn't a clam at all. That's a mussel. I didn't know it, but now I do. So I can write into my journal what kind of mussel this is. So if I misidentify something in my journal, that's not a problem. When that gets created, I can cross out one name and just put in another. And also, I don't have to worry about things like spelling in journals either. Here in the title of this page, I wrote that this was a female squash plant. Somebody pointed out to me some time ago that, you misspelled squash. Is that a problem? No, because what's important here is my thinking and my discoveries and all these little weird structures that I found inside this squash flower. And so if you look through my journals, you'll find lots and lots of spelling mistakes. I'm dyslexic, so I can spell the same word 5 different ways on the same page. That's not a problem because, again, it's not about the journal. It's about our thinking and our connection with the natural world.
One way to keep your mind flexible and open to change is to frame your explanations in a way that intentionally helps you be able to change your mind. So if I look at something and let's say I make a hard, concrete statement. I write down in my journal, adult gulls are dominant on the meat pile. It's kind of a clear black and white, here's my facts. If instead I couch that in, how big my sample was, like I saw one adult gull be dominant on this meat pile, or if I say, perhaps, could it be? It appears that adult gulls are dominant on the meat pile. That helps me just be a little bit more flexible. So then what I'm doing is, instead of thinking of this as like, here's right and wrong, I'm thinking of, here's an explanation. Adult gulls are dominant on this pile, but instead of thinking of this as like right and wrong, I want to think of this as how strongly supported by evidence is this explanation. And so I could say the evidence strongly supports this, or I saw this one time. And as I get new information, I want to sort of move myself, imagine kind of your position, if we have these two poles, strongly supported by evidence, not strongly supported by evidence. As you make more observations, you want to move back and forth between these poles. So if you see more immature young gulls pushing the adults off, that pushes you further this way. Ooh, that idea is really not supported by the evidence. That's just a different way of holding ideas in our heads. So again, I'm only going to, my support of a claim is going to be proportionate to the strength of the evidence for that claim. Your nature journaling challenge this week is to explore a phenomenon without fear of making mistakes. Freely use your journal. Draw without fear of having to make a pretty picture and make it look right. Write without having to worry about grammar or spelling. Give yourself permission to make those mistakes in technically how you're getting data down on your page. And also, give yourself permission to, as you're looking at something, as you're trying to figure something out, to make mistakes, and then to change your mind in the presence of additional evidence. And notice when that happens. Notice that at the start, when I looked at this, I was thinking this, and then I saw that, and now I'm thinking this. See, those are the critical changes. If we lean into those changes in our thinking, we're going to be able to understand so much more about the world around us. And until next time, this is your Nature Journal Connection.
Do do do.